Eternal Gain. Episode 2. Conquer Depression. Confronting by Identifying. You must pay attention to what's going on inside you to heal properly. Sadness versus depression. Sadness is normal. Sadness doesn't last very long, doesn't impair your functioning, and doesn't significantly disrupt your thinking process or distort your view of yourself, God, or life. Depression is a serious illness, persisting for weeks or months. Unlike sadness, depression involves feelings and emotions that interfere with your state of mind, impair functioning in many aspects of life, and disrupt your view of God, self, or life in general. Myths versus facts. Depression is not a sin. Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1-8 explains the different seasons and facets of life. Life is beautiful. Yet it also casts a dark shadow, because it reminds us of the inevitability of trouble and evil, and of the relentless monotony of life.
According to the CDC, 1 in 5 people suffer from depression.
Today is a good day. I'm feeling good. I know I can get in here and get these endorphins going. Let's go in here and let's lift some weights.
How are you today?
All right, and you?
Good.
Thank you, ma'am. Some days you have to put on a mask, because some days with my depression, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good. It's like you just feel just this, not darkness, but you know that it's there. It's just taking over your body.
Not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. For me, it wasn't in any kind of life is not worth living, but something about not being able to see the bright side of anything. Even though you have the experience in the past that says it's probably going to be okay, right, based on the data. But at that time, just the feelings and the thoughts are overwhelming about how you don't see how this is going to end up okay.
Some days I don't feel like brushing my teeth. I don't feel like combing my hair. I don't feel like taking a shower because it takes too much effort. It's like even lifting my arm, it's like it weighs 100 pounds. And yet somebody asks you, how you doing today, Fonda? And you just smile and say, I'm doing fine, but you're not fine. You're not fine.
Grew up in a good Christian home, mom and dad, 2 sisters, 1 brother, youngest. Family was huge for us. Family was huge for my dad because he was gone on most of the weekdays and he'd get back Friday, Saturday, so it was huge for him. That's why the second he got home, he wouldn't even change out of his suit. He was just like, all right, let's start doing whatever everybody else is doing. Looking back now, when I was 11, my life, I had never been exposed to trials. Like, in my head, my dad is still a superhero. My dad and my mom are invincible. I was still very much of a kid. So, walk in the hospital room and I see my dad in the bed, and then directly told us he had cancer, stage 4 brain tumor. And my dad, I'd seen my dad cry maybe 3 times in my life before this, and then it was every day he would just cry and he would cry. Seeing my dad just be torn apart by cancer, it was finally hitting me that it might be something that he's really not going to win.
I had a baby at 16 years old. I named her Rachel Michelle, and she ended up dying a month later. She was born in July, and she died in August because her lungs weren't fully developed. I did not know a person could cry so much they had no tears. I suffered a traumatic incident, but yet we just went on. Nobody asked me, was I okay? Nobody tried to see if I needed any help. They just was like, okay, you lost a baby, go on.
The story starts really when I'm growing up in Puerto Rico. The way that people spoke about mental health issues was not necessarily flattering. It was almost in a mocking type of a way of, that guy's nuts. It was in Spanish, so the equivalent of that, está loco. And how it was kind of something that was fair game to be made fun of. So, I didn't notice that at the time, but in hindsight, I look at it and I go, well, that might be the reason that I didn't speak about it. Depression is different for everybody, and it's prevalent, right? You're likely to know somebody that is dealing with some mental health issue.
Within 11 days, I lost my dad and my grandfather. So I remember immediately I just went up to my room. I sat there and I remember praying to God that just let me cry, let me get this out, because I thought if I could cry, the pain would go away. And my whole family is coping in much better than I was, so it seemed. And they were falling back on God and they were trusting God while I couldn't hear God, I couldn't trust Him. And it didn't make sense to me. It was, how could I trust Him? And then depression, I just let it take over. And then it turned into escape. And it was, okay, how can I get away from this because God won't help me? I was just done. So I remember we had pills from my dad, and I was like, okay, well, this is, I'm okay with life ending now. And I'm just gonna go be with my dad, be with my grandpa. And I woke up the next morning. I'm thinking, man, I can't even kill myself, and I can't even do anything right. So I tried again the next night, and I took even more than I did the first time. And as a 13-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid, shouldn't have lived through it. And I remember waking up the next morning, and I just started bawling. I was like, I should be dead, and I'm not. I was like, so obviously there's a reason. And I remember just the feeling of it's gonna be okay. And not that the depression would be taken away, but that I wouldn't feel like I was fighting alone anymore.
Mental health affects us all. It does not discriminate. Everybody hurts, everybody loses something, everybody struggles.
1 in 5 people in the United States are likely to experience some sort of mental health problem in the course of a year. When people do seek help and get help and they use the skills they're learning and they learn how to think differently about what they're dealing with, they can improve their ability to enjoy life. It is very common in physical illness as well as mental illness to find that there are people further up the family tree who are experiencing or have experienced something like you have.
It is so important to know your family history. Just like people don't mind their family history with cancer, diabetes, we need to know our family history when it comes to mental health. I know it's an uncomfortable subject, it's not a warm and fuzzy subject, but it's an important subject and it can save a life. I had another baby. I had Wesley in 1983, and I was so extremely holding on to him because of the fact that, I had lost one, and he just became my life.
I love my mom, that's my rock, and she's always been there for me, and I know she is the person I know that I can count on in my life, like no matter what.
I have a mom who went through a divorce and sank into a pretty deep depression. In hindsight, I can tell that. To her credit and part of what formed my consciousness around mental health, she did go get help. We need to find a way as a society, but even as an individual, you need to find a way to switch and shift your thinking to it's okay. It's okay to need help, and it's a good thing to get it.
My biggest prayer is that people will accept that it's okay to hurt, because the more you act like it's not, the more you will hurt, and that is just a dangerous path, just a dangerous road. In high school, there's definitely a huge stigma of acting like you're okay, acting like depression doesn't affect you. And I think it's sad because, especially for guys, we're told to be strong, and, that kind of culture of, don't cry, don't, play sports, and you can get hit and get right back up, you're fine, rub dirt on it. So whenever you're affected mentally, I think you think the same thing. How wrong is that the culture we've created, that people can't raise their hand and say that, yeah, I'm hurting and I need help.
Today is not a good day. Hopefully tomorrow will be better, but I'm not going to kid myself as well. They're not all good days. They're not all good weeks. You just have to take them as they come, and as each day comes, you got to try to make the best of each day. So that's what I try to do. I don't sugarcoat things. I don't try to force things. I just try to take it one day at a time.
When we diagnose a mental illness, there are certain criteria that you meet.
To be clinically significant, it has to cause problems in your life or your ability to function in some way. Because a lot of people experience those same things at a lower level, but when they reach that level where it's beginning to impact their daily lives for a long enough period of time, then it would warrant a diagnosis. One of the key components that I work with people on is developing a healthy routine, healthy habits, good sleep patterns. Appetite or nutrition or diet, those things affect people in big ways. Exercise is a big factor in improving mood and helping people, do better physically and mentally.
Growing up, my whole family always played sports. Someone was always playing sports, so sports was huge for us. The therapy of just going and being in a gym by myself, and I'm naturally an introvert, so I love being in the gym by myself, just being able to shoot by myself, just let my mind be free, not think about anything, just play.
I do have a hope for the community, and it's that we can talk about mental health like we talk about physical health. My situation is unremarkable and non-dramatic as I think that it is, that it's good for people to kind of see that depression can take that form. So, what I would tell somebody who's feeling helpless is that there is help. There is help out there. It is possible to feel better.
If you're afraid to take the next step, you just take the first step. Even if that first person is your physician, it's a softer handoff than calling the practitioner. Although we don't mind if you just call us.
If we as a community, whether that's church community or just our community in general, if we can welcome and embrace the idea that this does affect so many people and there's something that can be done, very hopeful that that's going to make a difference.
My depression is a battle every day. I know I have it, and it's never going to go away. I just learned to outsmart it a lot of days. I learned how to outsmart it, and it's always sitting on my shoulder. It's always there. It's always telling me, hey, I'm right here with you. But just because it's with me, it doesn't mean it's going to beat me.
My biggest step was accepting the fact that, okay, I have chronic depression, it's not going away. And I think whenever you can admit that it's something that doesn't go away, it becomes a lot more easier to deal with. And I know that if my dad were here, he could have told me that life may suck sometimes. And a lot of times it's to the point where I don't even want to do it anymore. And sometimes the fight's going to hurt. At the end of the day, we're going to win.
If you or someone you know is struggling with depression or has an addiction, start moving from hurt to healing today. Call 844-543-3242.
Journal assignment. Listen. Reflect. Write. Reflect on Ecclesiastes 3 verse 4. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. Look within, take heed to what's going on inside you. How do you make looking within a priority? Where is your focus? Is your focus on God and what's eternal, Bible study, prayer and worship time, or are you too busy with entertainment, politics, and all the things of the world?
Thank you for watching. And please subscribe. For more help info and references, please check the description and comment below. You can also visit our website at www.motivate138.wixsite.com/eternal gain.